What if we could shrink down and follow one bite of an apple through your body? We'd discover a journey involving acid, enzymes, blood vessels, the liver, intestinal cells, and billions of microorganisms. An apple looks simple. A few bites, a little sweetness, and it seems to disappear almost instantly. But inside your body, that ordinary apple begins a journey involving muscles, acids, enzymes, blood vessels, the liver, and trillions of microscopic structures. An apple is much more than sweetness. Most of its mass is water, but mixed into that water are carbohydrates, natural sugars, dietary fiber, vitamin C, and hundreds of plant compounds. Some of these molecules can be broken down and absorbed. Others cannot be digested by human enzymes at all. And that distinction becomes extremely important later in the journey. The digestive process begins before the apple ever reaches the stomach. Your teeth perform the first mechanical step, crushing the apple into smaller pieces. Your tongue constantly moves those pieces around the mouth, while saliva wets the food and helps form it into a swallowable mass. Saliva also contains enzymes. One of them, salivary amylase, begins breaking down certain starch molecules. It may seem like simple chewing, but the chemistry of digestion has already begun. Now swallowing takes over. The tongue pushes the food toward the throat, triggering a carefully coordinated sequence of muscle movements. For a brief moment, the digestive and respiratory pathways come remarkably close together. Protective structures help direct the food away from the airway and toward the esophagus. Once the apple bolus enters the esophagus, gravity is no longer the main force moving it. The esophagus is not simply a tube that lets food fall into the stomach. Its muscular walls create rhythmic waves called peristalsis. Each contraction pushes the apple bolus forward. The movement is controlled automatically by the nervous system and coordinated muscular activity. Even if you were lying down, the esophagus could continue moving food toward the stomach. Inside the stomach, the environment changes. The food is stored, squeezed and mixed with gastric secretions. The stomach's acidic environment helps unfold proteins and activates digestive enzymes involved in protein breakdown. Strong muscular contractions turn the meal into a semi-liquid mixture called chyme. But here's something important. The apple's carbohydrates and fiber are not simply dissolved by stomach acid. Much of the real nutrient extraction is still ahead. The stomach does not empty all at once. A muscular gateway called the pyloric sphincter controls the release of chyme into the first part of the small intestine. From here, the digestive process becomes even more chemically sophisticated. Now the digestive team becomes larger. The pancreas releases bicarbonate, which helps neutralize acidic stomach contents, along with enzymes that digest carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. The liver produces bile, which is stored in the gallbladder and released into the small intestine. Bile does not digest food like an enzyme. Instead, it helps break large fat droplets into smaller droplets, making them easier for digestive enzymes to process. The small intestine is where the story becomes truly remarkable. Its inner surface is folded again and again, with millions of tiny projections called villi. Each villus contains blood vessels and a lymphatic vessel. Together, these structures create an enormous surface for nutrient absorption. The apple is no longer recognizable as a piece of fruit. Its molecules are being separated, transformed, and prepared for absorption. Digestive enzymes continue breaking food into smaller molecules. Complex carbohydrates can be reduced to simple sugars that intestinal cells can absorb. The apple's natural sugars, including glucose and fructose, are already small enough to be absorbed. But the apple contains something your digestive enzymes cannot fully dismantle: dietary fiber. That part of the story will take us somewhere else. This is the moment the apple's nutrients cross a major boundary. Cells lining the intestine selectively transport nutrients across their membranes. Glucose and other absorbed sugars enter the small blood vessels inside the villi. From here, they do not immediately travel to every cell in the body. Most absorbed nutrients from the digestive tract first pass through a special route to the liver. The nutrient-rich blood takes a specialized route called the hepatic portal circulation. Instead of immediately going everywhere, it travels from the digestive organs directly toward the liver. This gives the liver a first opportunity to process, store, transform, and regulate many of the substances arriving from a meal. The liver now becomes one of the most important destinations in the journey. It helps regulate nutrients arriving from the digestive system. Glucose can be used immediately, stored in the form of glycogen, or released later, according to the body's needs. Fructose is also extensively processed by the liver. The liver is not simply a storage tank. It is an active metabolic control center. Now the nutrients can reach the tissues that need them. Some glucose may be used by cells as fuel. Inside cells, glucose can enter metabolic pathways that ultimately help generate ATP, the molecule cells use to power countless processes. Your muscles need energy to move. Your brain needs energy to function. Your heart needs energy to beat. The apple has not simply disappeared. Parts of it have been converted into usable biological resources. The journey also reaches the brain. Under normal conditions, glucose is an important source of fuel for brain metabolism. But an apple does not send a magical burst of intelligence into your head. Biology is much more precise than that. Nutrients simply become available to cells according to the body's constantly regulated needs. But not everything from the apple can be absorbed. Dietary fiber largely resists digestion in the small intestine. Instead, much of it continues into the large intestine. Here, the story changes again. The colon contains a vast community of microorganisms. Some types of fiber can be fermented by these microbes, producing smaller compounds that can be used by the body or remain within the intestinal environment. The large intestine also plays an important role in recovering water and electrolytes. As the remaining material moves forward, more water is removed. What began as a meal containing a large amount of water gradually becomes more concentrated. The body is carefully separating what it can use from what it cannot. Eventually, the remaining material reaches the final section of the digestive tract. It contains substances the body did not absorb, including much of the original dietary fiber, along with water, bacteria, and other intestinal material. The useful components of the apple have already taken very different paths. Some entered circulation, some were processed by the liver, some were used by cells. The remainder continues toward elimination. So what happened to that apple? Its water became part of the body's constantly regulated fluid system. Its digestible carbohydrates were broken down and absorbed. Some nutrients were processed by the liver before entering wider circulation. Some molecules became available to cells as metabolic resources. Its fiber followed a different route, continuing into the large intestine, where microbes and the colon played their roles. One piece of fruit created not one destination, but an entire network of biological pathways. An apple seems to vanish after you eat it, but nothing truly vanished. The body dismantled it, sorted it, transformed it, transported its useful components, and sent the rest along a completely different route. Digestion is not a single event inside the stomach. It is a coordinated journey involving muscles, enzymes, acids, the liver, blood vessels, intestinal cells, and the microscopic ecosystem living inside the colon. From the first bite to the final waste, every stage is part of one continuous biological system. And that is the remarkable secret hidden inside an ordinary apple. The moment you eat it, your body begins turning a piece of fruit into chemistry, energy, structure, and eventually waste. What looks like a simple snack from the outside is, inside you, an extraordinary biological journey.